The Secret Diaries, My Journey. What if one simple shift in your thinking could change the direction of your entire life? This is a question I came across a few years ago, and it completely stopped me in my tracks. I remember reading it and feeling something inside me shift, almost like a quiet inner alarm saying, "Pay attention, this matters." Hello, friends, and welcome to my new series, The Secret Diaries, My Journey. I want to start by saying that I'm not a highly spiritual person. I'm not a guru, and I've definitely kept failing in life just like anyone else. I'm simply someone who has been learning, experimenting, and figuring things out as I go. Even on days when I feel down or frustrated with myself, the more I work on my thoughts and apply the law of attraction, the better I feel, the more positive energy I attract, and the more beautiful life becomes. I'm not perfect, far from it, but when I look back, I can see the huge leap I've made as a person, and I feel genuinely proud of how much I've grown. I'm not the same person I used to be, and that realization fuels me to keep going, keep improving, and enjoy the journey as it happens. And the best part? I'm still learning every day, just like you. I have to be honest, it hasn't always been easy. It took me years to start truly living by the principles in the book. I failed many times, didn't always know what I was doing wrong, and there were moments when I just gave up. But life felt much worse when I ignored it. Slowly, I realized I needed to take responsibility for my own life, and here I am, sharing my journey with you. This book has changed the way I think, feel, and act, and I want to share my experiences because I truly believe it's worth passing on. In this series, I'll share my reflections, my experiments, and even the little surprises I've noticed along the way. This is the first chapter of my diaries, and I hope you'll find some useful insights, both from the book itself and from how I've applied its ideas in my daily life. So, let's dive in. Chapter 1: How Our Thoughts Shape Reality. After reading the first chapter of The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, I felt inspired to give this part of my journey its own personal name, How Our Thoughts Shape Reality. That title felt right because for me, the biggest takeaway was understanding how much our everyday thoughts, even the ones we barely notice, quietly shape the life we live. But let's take it from the very beginning. For the first time, I started to seriously explore how I could change my life for the better, not through massive overnight transformations, but through small, intentional steps that actually felt realistic and doable. And that curiosity slowly led me onto a path I didn't expect, a path that began to transform how I think, how I feel, and how I show up every day. In this chapter, I want to share that journey with you. I'll highlight the most powerful ideas and thoughts from The Secret by showing you how I personally applied them in real life. I'll also share stories from my friends and people close to me because sometimes someone else's experience can reveal a truth we completely miss in our own. Summary and personal reflection. The first chapter of The Secret by Rhonda Byrne introduces the law of attraction, the core idea of the entire book. It explains that our thoughts have the power to shape reality. What we focus on grows, whether positive or negative. Byrne emphasizes that every person has the power to influence their life through thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. You become what you think about most, but you also attract what you think about most. These words might feel a little scary at first because, let's be honest, our brains sometimes wander into the weirdest places. Like, who hasn't spent 5 minutes imagining accidentally sending a silly selfie from a party to their boss or overthinking a funny text that might be misread? It's funny, yes, but it also makes the point very serious. The thoughts we focus on most shape the energy we send out into the world and ultimately the life we attract. So while it's okay to laugh at these ridiculous scenarios, we also want to pay attention to the thoughts that really matter because those are the ones quietly shaping our reality. This chapter encourages readers to see themselves as active creators of their lives rather than passive observers. When I read this chapter, I realized just how often I unconsciously focus on what I don't want: problems, stress, missed opportunities, and how that focus seems to actually reinforce those negative patterns. The law of attraction isn't magic. It's really a mindset, a tool to direct our energy and attention towards what we truly want. And these words keep resonating in my mind. The secret is the law of attraction, and you have the ability to use it to change your life. I understand it in a way that really empowers me, that even small shifts in my thoughts and focus can create real changes in my life. But I'd love to hear your perspective too. How do you interpret this idea? How do you feel about the fact that your thoughts actually have that much influence? Personal anecdotes. And that's exactly why this part of the chapter hit me so deeply. Once I understood that my thoughts are not just background noise, but the steering wheel of my reality, something in me shifted. I started paying attention to where my mind was actually spending most of its time. And honestly, I began noticing small but meaningful changes almost immediately when I shifted my focus from problems to solutions. Instead of thinking, I'll never get ahead, I started visualizing success and imagining real practical steps I could take. And within just a few weeks, things moved. Unexpected opportunities popped up out of nowhere. A colleague randomly shared a super helpful contact. A tiny side project suddenly paid.
How others applied the secret. Real experiences.
The ideas in this chapter might sound simple, but how do they actually work in real life? To make it more tangible, I want to share 4 stories of people, some inspired by real-life experiences, some illustrative, who applied these principles and saw remarkable changes. Each story highlights a different aspect of the law of attraction and ends with a clear lesson we can all take into our own lives.
From invisible to promoted. What changed?
Thomas's story is one that's very close to me because I watched it unfold right before my eyes. For years, he was my colleague, the kind of person who had so much potential that you could almost feel it when he walked into the room. He was smart, reliable, creative, and honestly, one of the hardest working people on our team. But despite all that, he constantly felt invisible. He once told me, half joking but half defeated, "I think I could disappear for a week and nobody would notice." And the sad part? At that time, he truly believed it. He was stuck in a job that drained him. He worked long hours without recognition, and every small mistake felt like proof that he wasn't good enough. I could see how much it weighed on him, the frustration, the stress, that quiet sense of disappointment that builds up after months and months of feeling unseen. Then one day, something shifted. He came across an idea, the law of attraction, and for some reason it hit him differently than anything before. Not because he thought it was magic, but because he finally felt he had something he could control: his thoughts. He told me, if my mind is the one place where nobody can interfere, maybe that's where I should start. And that sentence stayed with me. Every morning before work, he began visualizing the version of himself he wished the world could finally see: confident, capable, recognized, trusted with important tasks. He would sit quietly for 5 minutes and imagine himself presenting ideas, finishing projects with clarity, and yes, even receiving praise. Not in an arrogant way, but in a grounded, I deserve to be seen kind of way. And then things began to change. Gradually, subtly, but undeniably. A high visibility project suddenly opened up, something that normally he would have been too intimidated to volunteer for. But this time, he approached it differently. He wasn't just hoping for the best. He felt prepared, focused, like he had already lived the experience in his mind. I saw him take initiative in a way I had never seen him from before. He contributed ideas confidently, he solved problems quickly, and he didn't shrink himself the way he used to. His energy changed, and people noticed. His manager started relying on him more, colleagues asked for his opinion. He became the go-to person for complex tasks. And within just a few weeks, something happened that he once described as impossible. He got promoted, not because of luck, not because suddenly the company changed, but because he changed. His mindset changed, his focus changed. Watching that transformation taught me something powerful. When you shift your internal narrative, your external world eventually adjusts to match it. Thomas's story shows how shifting focus and taking inspired action can transform a career, but the law of attraction doesn't only influence professional life. The same principles can deeply affect our health, energy, and well-being. Actually, he didn't stumble on the book. I gave it to him for his birthday, quietly hoping he'd actually read it, and he did. What this story teaches us is simple. Your mindset guides your actions, and your actions create real opportunities. Shifting focus towards solutions attracts opportunities you might otherwise miss. The turning point. Monica's story is another one that feels very close to my heart because she's not just someone I heard about, she's my friend. And honestly, she's one of the strongest women I know. She has two beautiful, hyperactive children who seem to run on pure electricity. I swear, they wake up already sprinting. And while Monica adores them with her whole heart, the constant noise, movement, and endless energy demands slowly drained her spirit. For a long time, she lived in a cycle of exhaustion, the kind where you wake up tired, push through the day tired, go to bed tired, and repeat the whole thing again. Her body felt heavy, her mind foggy, and her motivation almost non-existent. She once told me, "Some days, even the idea of folding laundry feels like climbing Everest." And she wasn't exaggerating. She tried everything: vitamins, diet changes, morning routines, evening routines, extra sleep, more exercise, no exercise. Nothing helped in the way she hoped. She felt stuck, emotionally, physically, mentally stuck. We started meeting more often around that time. At first, it was just coffee, then longer talks, then those deep conversations that only happen when someone is truly tired of feeling the way they feel. One afternoon, while she was describing how hopeless and drained she felt, I gently brought up the law of attraction. I almost hesitated. I know how skeptical people can be, especially when they're exhausted. And yes, she gave me that classic skeptical look, like, please, don't tell me positive thinking is going to magically fix my energy levels. But I didn't push. I simply shared what had worked for me and for Thomas. Small shifts, gentle practices, nothing dramatic or unrealistic. And to my surprise, she didn't shut it down. She sighed and said, "Okay, I'll try it. Honestly, at this point, I'll try anything." So she started small, and I mean really small. 30 seconds a day, imagining herself waking up with more energy. Gratitude for micro moments, like I made it through today, or my kids hugged me, or I had 3 minutes of silence. A simple visualization of herself feeling lighter, clearer, more alive. At first, nothing dramatic happened. No fireworks, no sudden burst of motivation, but something subtle began shifting. One day she told me, "I don't know why, but this morning, I didn't feel like a zombie. Maybe 10% better." And honestly, that was huge. Over the next weeks, the changes grew. More energy in the mornings, not perfect, but noticeably better. Better mental clarity, fewer foggy brain moments. Small sparks of motivation. She started going for gentle walks. More patience with her kids. This one surprised her the most. She said something that stayed with me. Once I stopped focusing on how tired I was, I finally felt like my body could breathe again. It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't magic. But thought by thought, intention by intention, she built a new reality. Strange things started happening too, not supernatural, but meaningful coincidences. Like a neighbor offered to help with her kids once a week. She met a doctor who actually listened and offered helpful guidance. And she discovered a type of exercise that didn't drain her, but energized her. These little shifts created real momentum. Her transformation wasn't loud or dramatic, it was gentle, steady, and genuine. And watching it reminded me of something powerful. Sometimes the biggest changes begin in the quietest corners of the mind. Monica's story shows that awareness, intention, and consistent practice can open the door to meaningful change, even in areas like health, where we often feel powerless. The truth behind this story is simple. Positive focus paired with conscious action can help improve health and well-being.
Thereza, Terry, Ambrose. When she finally turned the light inward. The third story I want to share is not about someone I know personally, but about a character I recently watched in an old movie called Limelight, 1952. She's a character on screen, yet her journey really resonated with me and reminded me so much of what Chapter 1 of The Secret teaches. In the movie, this woman, Terry Ambrose, is a performer who has spent her life helping and inspiring others, encouraging young dancers, giving guidance, and lifting people up. She's constantly generous, positive, and supportive, always telling the young artists things like, "Believe in yourself and never let anyone tell you otherwise." Yet, behind closed doors, Terry quietly doubted herself and her own worth. She struggled with fear about her future and didn't allow herself to shine in the way she encouraged others to shine. Watching her, I felt this tension so clearly. She believed in other people, but hadn't yet fully believed in herself. What struck me from a law of attraction perspective is how her focus slowly begins to shift. As she recognizes her own value and allows herself to embrace her gifts, everything around her starts to align differently. She starts taking small, intentional steps mentally and emotionally toward the life she wants instead of only supporting everyone else's dreams. And you can see the ripple effect. Her confidence, energy, and presence begin to attract opportunities, attention, and fulfillment that she had never allowed herself to receive before. For me, seeing Terry's story unfold was a vivid reminder of something I take from Chapter 1: the power of awareness and intention. Just like the law of attraction teaches, she experiences the transformation not through magic, but through focusing on what she wants, feeling it is real, and opening herself to action. It also made me think deeply about self-care. Sometimes we focus so much on being good for everyone else, supporting, encouraging, lifting others up, that we forget to look after ourselves. And the truth is, it's not enough to only be there for others. If we don't nurture our own minds, hearts, and dreams, we won't truly be happy and we won't fully create the life we want. Even though Terry was fictional, I could feel the lesson deeply. We need to direct positive, intentional energy toward ourselves as well as others. When we do, the results can be surprisingly real, uplifting, and transformative. This example, even though it's from a movie, really made me reflect on my own mindset and the ways I sometimes hold myself back. It's proof that the principles of the law of attraction, awareness, focus, and visualization can be observed everywhere, even in stories on screen. I find it inspiring, and it motivates me to notice where I may be ignoring my own dreams while helping others shine. And what can we learn from this story? Helping others is wonderful, but true fulfillment comes when we also believe in ourselves. By directing positive, intentional energy toward our own dreams, we open the door to real transformation.
Aunt and Uncle, what happened that night? And the last story I must share with you is from my own family. I've seen the lessons of the law of attraction play out in our lives firsthand. My aunt and uncle are both hardworking, professional, and talented people. They don't have kids, so in theory, they could have built financial stability easily. But somehow, money never seemed to flow their way. Bills, unexpected expenses, and small setbacks always seemed to appear. Watching them struggle, I often felt frustrated for them and worried. How is it possible that you both work so hard and still feel like you're barely keeping up? I asked one evening over coffee. My uncle sighed, rubbing his temples. I don't know. We try, we save, we invest, but it never seems enough. Maybe we're just unlucky, my aunt added, shaking her head. Seeing this, I thought about Chapter 1 of The Secret and the power of mindset. I gently suggested, have you ever tried visualizing financial success, even in small ways, or listing things you're grateful for each day? They looked at me skeptically, but agreed to give it a try. Slowly, the shift began. Every morning, they spent a few minutes imagining themselves managing money wisely, paying off bills effortlessly, and watching new opportunities appear. They also started keeping a gratitude journal, writing down even the smallest wins, a discount they received, a productive day at work, or a tiny increase in their savings. But I want to be completely honest here. Even though they were focusing on positive thoughts and abundance, Reprogramming their minds was extremely difficult. Imagine having a lifetime of hardwired beliefs telling you, we never have enough money. Wealth is not for people like us. It's nearly impossible to overwrite that kind of thinking overnight, or even within a few weeks. They tried to stay positive, but it was hard. They didn't see results. They felt stuck. And eventually, they started to feel desperate. I told them, please don't stop now. Keep going. Stay on the journey. Focus on abundance. Imagine that you already have enough. Behave as if you're supported. Let go of your fears. They're the biggest blockers. And I'll be honest, the change didn't come for many months. But then, one day, within a few months, subtle but real shifts started showing up. My uncle came home one afternoon with a huge smile. He said, "Guess what?" He said, "A freelance client offered me a bigger project than I expected, and the pay is really good." My aunt laughed, and a friend just mentioned a side gig we never even considered. It's like someone opened a door for us out of nowhere. At that moment, they still didn't connect it to the secret. A few days later, when I visited them, they both looked so calm and genuinely relaxed. I hadn't seen them like that in years. My uncle told me the news, and immediately I knew what was happening. The secret had started working, but neither he nor my aunt realized it. They just shrugged and said, "Oh, so this is how it works." And I said, "Yes. What did you expect? That you'd wake up one morning and suddenly have thousands sitting in your bank account for no reason? Of course not. You have to be observant and open to new possibilities. You have to think about what you want to happen, and when you do, life will start rearranging itself." Positive thinking breaks the stone wall of bitterness and hopelessness, and once that wall cracks, a clear path appears. A path that leads to new opportunities, new ideas, and eventually financial abundance. They didn't become millionaires overnight, but they noticed a new energy around money. They were calmer, more confident, and open to opportunities they had ignored before. Their intentional focus on abundance, combined with inspired action, started to create small yet meaningful financial breakthroughs. Watching them, I realized something really important. It's not just about working hard or being talented. What you focus on, the thoughts you nurture, and the gratitude you practice can literally shift the flow of abundance in your life. When I think about that moment, seeing them so calm, so satisfied, I still get tears in my eyes even as I'm writing these lines. Seeing them happy warms my heart. I love them very much, and I'm so grateful that even later in life, they finally found peace, hope, and a new desire to live fully. And what can we take from this story? A mindset of abundance combined with intention and action opens eyes to possibilities and creates momentum towards financial goals, sometimes in ways we never expected.
Practical exercises to shift your mindset and attract what you want. Here are some simple, practical exercises that I personally use and that you can start using today to train your mind toward clarity, intention, and positive momentum. They're easy, gentle, and surprisingly powerful when practiced consistently. 1. Daily gratitude journal. Write 3 things you're grateful for every morning. 2. Visualization exercise. Close your eyes and imagine a day where your goals are achieved. Focus on feelings as well as events. 3. Affirmations. Replace negative thoughts with positive statements. For example, I am capable of achieving my goals. 4. Focus on solutions. Whenever a problem arises, list one small actionable step you can take. Practical exercises. How I do it. I want to show you how I actually practice these exercises in my own life. My dream is to buy a big house because I want to have a family, and right now I live in a small flat with my boyfriend. Every day I start by focusing on gratitude, visualization, affirmations, and taking small, actionable steps. Here's exactly how I do it. Every morning I write down 3 things I'm grateful for in my life. For example, I might write, I am grateful for the cozy corner in my flat where I relax. I'm thankful for the money I've already saved. And I appreciate the support of my boyfriend and friends. Focusing on what I already have makes me feel abundant and positive instead of stressed about the fact that our flat is too small. After that, I spend a few minutes imagining my dream home. I picture walking into a spacious living room, cooking in a large kitchen, my future children playing in the backyard, and feeling happy and relaxed. I try to really feel those emotions, the excitement, the comfort, the pride, as if I'm already living there. It's amazing how just imagining it helps me notice opportunities I might have ignored before. When negative thoughts creep in, like, I'll never be able to afford a bigger house, I use affirmations. I repeat to myself, I am capable of finding the perfect home for my family, opportunities to move into a bigger house are coming to me, and I am financially prepared to take the next steps toward my dream home. Saying these things out loud helps me focus on possibilities instead of limitations. Finally, I take one small action each day to move toward my goal. For example, I might check real estate listings, look at my savings plan, speak to a mortgage advisor, or declutter my current flat to get ready for a move. The key is to always have at least one practical step, no matter how small, that aligns with my intention. It's not just thinking positively, it's pairing thoughts with action that creates real results. This is exactly how I bring the law of attraction into my daily life. Gratitude, visualization, affirmations, and focused actions. When I combine them, I feel more motivated, confident, and aligned with my goal of buying our dream home. Honestly, I can't even put into words how certain I am that it will happen very soon. And I have to say, things are really moving in my favor. I've also learned that our intentions must be pure and good. We should not harm anyone in the process. If things shift in a way that negatively affects others, the universe often responds differently. It happened to me as well. I unintentionally caused harm because I wasn't paying enough attention, and suddenly my plans got stuck. Then I realized why. I learned my lesson, and with humility, I found another, perhaps more ethical way to achieve my goals. And honestly, I can tell you, it's quite a ride.
Metaphors and analogies. Thoughts are like seeds. What you water grows. If you water doubts and fears, you'll feel stuck. If you water hopes and intentions, opportunities grow. Your mind is like a magnet. What you hold in attention attracts similar energy. Where attention goes, your life quietly follows. The universe responds to the thoughts you practice, not the ones you merely visit. When your intention is pure, the universe clears the way. Reflection and comparison. We often understand ideas better when we compare them to something familiar. The law of attraction has similarities to mindfulness and cognitive behavioral techniques. Like mindfulness, it invites us to pay attention to our thoughts with awareness. Like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, a psychological method that helps people identify and change unhelpful thoughts to improve emotions and behavior, it encourages us to replace negative patterns with more constructive ones. The key difference is that the law of attraction emphasizes visualizing your desired outcomes and feeling them as if they're already real. This emotional engagement boosts motivation and influences the actions you take.
Audience prompts.
Now, I want to invite you to take a moment and really pause with me. Let's think about your own life and what's going on in your mind right now. These are questions I ask myself every day to stay aware of my thoughts and intentions. You don't need to answer out loud if you're alone, but I encourage you to really reflect on them, honestly. Think of them as a mini check-in for your mind, a way to notice where your energy is going and whether it's helping you move toward your dreams. So here's a few questions to guide you. What thoughts occupy most of your mind each day? Are they mostly worries, frustrations, and doubts? Or are they focused on solutions, possibilities, and the things you truly want to create? Which patterns do you notice that might be holding you back? Habits of negative thinking, comparing yourself to others, or focusing on what's missing rather than what's already here? And how could you replace those patterns with positive intentions, small shifts in perspective, thoughts that empower you rather than drain you? And finally, can you take a moment to visualize one small goal today and think about a tiny step you could take toward it? It doesn't have to be huge. Even something small like researching options, making a plan, sending a message, or jotting down ideas can start building momentum. That little action combined with focus and intention can actually create real change over time. These prompts are powerful because they help you become aware of what's happening inside your mind. Awareness is the first step to consciously attracting what you want in life. And remember, you're not alone. Sometimes it feels like the world is dark or that focusing on good things is impossible, but we all struggle with this at times. If you feel comfortable, share your thoughts or reflections in the comments. Seeing how others are navigating the same challenges can remind you that we're all learning, growing, and trying to focus on the positive, even when it's hard.
Bonus visualization exercise. As you reflect on those questions, it's not just about thinking, it's about feeling and experiencing the possibilities. Awareness is the first step, but taking a moment to really imagine your desired life can make it feel tangible and real. That's why I like to do a short visualization exercise right after reflecting on my thoughts and intentions. Here's how I do it. 1. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. 2. Picture your ideal day, including what you want in work, relationships, or health. Imagine it in as much detail as possible. Notice how it feels, your emotions, your energy, even small details like the sounds, colors, or smells. Hold on to that feeling for 1 full minute. Then open your eyes and write down one small action you can take today to move closer to that vision. It could be a tiny step, but it starts turning your visualization into reality. Connecting this with the questions I just shared, the prompts help you understand where your mind is, and the visualization helps you feel where you want to go.
Together, reflection and imagination give your thoughts direction and momentum, making it easier to attract what you truly desire in life. And hey, don't worry if it feels a little strange or silly at first. Your mind is like a muscle, and the more you practice thinking, imagining, and taking small steps towards your dreams, the stronger and more confident it becomes. Think of it like training for a fun adventure. You're learning, growing, and creating a life you're excited to wake up to every day. So take it lightly, enjoy the process, and don't forget to smile along the way. Final reflection. Chapter 1 really hit me in a way I didn't expect. It reminded me that we are the creators of our own reality. Yes, we. Not someone else, not luck, not fate, us. And honestly, that's both empowering and terrifying at the same time. I mean, I can't blame the universe when I spill coffee on my laptop. Well, maybe just a little. But seriously, awareness, intention, and action really are the keys. Noticing those tiny negative thoughts that creep in, like, I'll never get what I want or I'm stuck, and consciously flipping them into something positive is like giving your mind a little makeover every day. Personally, this chapter reminded me that change truly starts from within. I've started paying attention to the little things I think and feel, and I swear I can feel something shifting in my life. Maybe it's subtle, like catching myself worrying less about things I can't control or noticing new opportunities popping up in the most unexpected places. It's almost like the universe is giving me little winks, saying, hey, keep going, you're on the right track. And I've also realized that it's okay to laugh at myself along the way. Some days I feel like I'm a mindfulness ninja, completely in control of my thoughts. And other days I'm tripping over my brain literally, thinking about my dream house while trying to make toast. But even in those funny moments, I can feel the shift. Small daily changes in thought and focus, just a little bit of gratitude, a tiny visualization, a positive affirmation, are starting to ripple through my life in ways I never expected. I see it affecting my energy, my mood, my relationships, and even how I handle challenges at work or with money. It's like planting seeds and slowly watching them grow, and I'm excited to see what blooms next. So, my big takeaway from chapter 1: pay attention, dream big, take action, laugh at yourself sometimes, and trust that even if things feel slow or weird, something is shifting inside you. And I feel it. I really feel that things are moving, aligning, and that my life is starting to flow toward what I truly want. And honestly, I can't wait to see what comes next. So after everything we've explored, I'd love to know, what do you personally take away from chapter 1? Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed this chapter and found some inspiration in these stories. If you like the video, feel free to share it with your friends so more and more people can start living a better, more intentional life. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss the next episode, where we'll dive into chapter 2. And if you'd like to support my work, you can buy me a coffee or make a donation here on YouTube. Every little bit helps and means so much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.